Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about accessories for the Sony ZV-1 Mark I. Now, naturally, a lot of these accessories can carry over to the Sony ZV-1 Mark II as well. But if you want to watch my last video about why you should not buy the Sony ZV-1 Mark II, then click on the button right here. If not, let's go ahead and proceed. These accessories truly improve my user experience for the Sony ZV-1. So I want to recommend those over to you. If you're interested, check out the affiliate links in the description below. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the things that addresses these flaws. Flaw number one, I would say, is your mounting point versus the battery door. If you're someone like me who uses quick release plates a lot or mounting your camera on tripod a lot, this is going to become a pain in the ass. Basically, anytime you have a quick release plate, it obstructs the battery door and you can't open this up. So to solve for this, I recommend you getting this small rig handle. Now, the small rig handle I think was like 20 bucks, but it's definitely well worth it. One downside about this setup is that the Allen key is super tiny. And oftentimes if you're on the field and you forget to bring the key and this loosens up, you have no way of tightening it. So one thing I wish small rig can do is make this toolless. Why do I think this is great? Well, if you are putting this on a gimbal like the Zhiyun Crane M3S, now you can pop it on and still be able to open your battery door. If you like to vlog holding onto your Sony ZV-1 like this, the wood grip is going to give you a lot better purchase and it just improves overall ergonomics. Number three, you get a nice coat shoe mount here as well. So if you are using wireless audio as an example, you have an extra mounting point. Now that we're in the battery compartment, well, you guys all know the battery sucks. It really does. It lasts like 45 minutes max. I recommend this Numoa charger. It's a triple charger and it uses USB-C or micro USB. This is one reason why I like it so much. It's super light, compact, and you can charge 3 batteries at the same time. This is one of the key accessories that I always bring with me. The second thing is the battery. It comes with 2 additional batteries. And these batteries, honestly, in performance wise, feels exactly the same as the OEM original battery. So I highly recommend this setup. I think this comes in as a combo on Amazon as well. All right, on to the next thing is this small rig remote. Now this small rig remote only works for video, okay? It will not work for photo. But it is super handy. It's a Bluetooth remote that connects directly to your Sony camera. Also works with my Sony a7C, my Sony a7 III, my a7R II. So it's a very versatile remote. It's tiny and there's an on-off switch right here. You can just pair it by holding it down. This is a very nice thing to have. Is it necessary? No. You can use your phone probably, but this is nice and it's cheap as well. This is the Ulanzi MT44. Let me zoom out. This thing is kind of big. However, this is going to be able to extend all the way to like chest high. It's freaking insane. It's like infinity extension. Just highly recommend this if you're shooting by yourself a lot because you can really use this not only as a monopod but also as a tripod as well. It folds out like this and it becomes a pretty sturdy tripod. The thing I like about this is that it actually has a ball head. If you're mounting this, the Sony ZV-1 on top, it's nice and quick. And now you can fine tune your angle and you can use this like a tabletop tripod. It is a little bit bulky, but the Ulanzi MT44, I highly recommend it, especially if you're a solo filmmaker like me. When it comes to mounting accessories, there's one more that I newly discovered. This one is sent to me by Ulanzi, and this looks like some crazy contraption, like a shuriken. But what this actually does is it mounts to fences. You don't know it's useful until you have this. So let's just say you're a soccer mom, soccer dad, baseball mom, baseball dad, whatnot. How often do you have to hold the phone like this for hours and hours? Usually there are fences around those areas. So now you can mount the Sony ZV-1 on here like this, and this part connects to the fence and you can lock it down afterwards. So boom, now you have a way to mount a Sony ZV-1 or your GoPro or your phone onto a fence. This is something that I never realized I would need, But when I was using it yesterday as I was playing tennis and watching softball and playing soccer, dude, this thing came in clutch. Let's talk about wireless audio. Rode Wireless Go version 1 is some of the most used microphone out there. I still use these quite a bit. They don't hold the charge as well anymore. Or you can get the DJI wireless mics. I highly recommend these as well. They are much pricier. These are coming in around 330 bucks, but you do get 2 transmitter and 1 receiver. And the best thing about this is that if you are someone like me who shoot sometimes with their phone, you can also plug it in directly to USB-C, or if you're an Apple person, then it comes with a lightning adapter as well. Just in case you mess up your audio or there's some sort of interference, don't worry, you can record directly on the transmitter. If you're more of a professional shooter, like a wedding videographer, highly recommend these guys, okay? I have these cheaper options as well. These are the Comica Boom XD. Now these came out like 3 years ago. They do not have built-in recording. I think this is a pretty good budget setup. It comes with 2 transmitters as well and 1 receiver. It's a little bit bigger compared to the Rode, but these are also a solid option. I made a review on this. If you're interested, check out my other video. Last but not least, if you don't want to deal with wireless audio setup, that's okay as well. Sometimes it is a pain. I recommend these Movo MA5CA mics because this mic can be angled. You can angle it like this. So you have a micro shotgun mic that you can use. You can see that I also have a little rubber band here. The whole point of this rubber band is to loop it around this mic to kind of keep it in a stable position. Another bigger option is the Rode Video Micro. Now this is also a great option as well, but you can see it's much bulkier compared to the tiny shotgun mic. If you're using a Sony ZV-1, you probably want the smallest, lightest setup. So having something like this usually attracts a lot of attention, as well as, you know what, honestly, the audio between the two is not that much of a difference. So for convenience sake, I like this tiny shotgun mic versus something like this. But if you have a shotgun mic, you should use it because the audio is going to be 10 times better than what you get out of here. All right, so now this is just the onboarding camera on the Sony ZV-1. How's it sound? Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Okay, now you're listening to the micro shotgun mic by Movo. Same distance as you can see here. I don't know why I'm hiding under this light, so it might create some echo, but we'll see. So now you're listening to the Rode Video Micro, and of course it's gonna be the biggest setup of them all with the dead cat on top. But how's this sounding? Which one is better? So now that you have good audio, the next thing you want to focus on is making sure your video footage is stable, right? Now there are a couple of gimbals I do recommend, especially for small cameras like these. First one I recommend would be the Zhiyun Crane M2S. Several reasons. One is price point is much cheaper, it's much more affordable. It's around 200 bucks right now, and it's pretty light for what it does. It's great for cameras like these ones, like the Sony ZV-1. Overall, the form factor is smaller. Now, if you have a little bit more money and you want something that can support even more weight, like the Sony A7C that this video is shooting on, then you want to check out something like the Crane M3S. Now this thing can support up to 750 grams. In my opinion, is a bit of an overkill for a small camera like this, and this is significantly heavier comparing to the M2S as well. If you have multiple cameras like a GH5 or the Sony A7 series, and you need something that's more robust that can support more weight, then the M3S is the most compact gimbal on the market right now that can support this much payload. By the way, a dedicated review is coming soon for the M3S. Now that you have taken care of getting smooth shots, the next thing you have to worry about is field of view. Now the field of view on the Sony ZV-1 is not the best. In fact, with active stabilization on, it's so cropped in, you'll feel like very suffocated like this. Everything's in your face, right? Like, too much. So what you need is a wide angle lens adapter to compensate for the active stabilization cropping. And I highly recommend something like this. This is by Newer, and this is the only brand that I see that comes with a bayonet mount that is not stick on to the front element. So it clamps down onto this lens ring right here. And there's a little bit of a notch, so there's like a little rough surface that I can sit on, and it just sits on here like this. Keep pressing the on button. You use the Allen key and you tighten down the clamp. So now you have a built-in bayonet mount. that is not based on a sticky double-sided tape. It gives me a lot more confidence when I'm using it, and it's very solid. See? So this is a great setup, but let me show you guys what it can do. All right, so you're now watching the Sony ZV-1. I'm at arm's length with the wide angle lens adapter on and the standard image stabilization currently. Now this is without the wide angle lens adapter. You can see that I'm definitely more cropped in. The view is just tighter on my face, right? Okay, so now active stabilization is on. You can see it's much tighter now, right? You can just basically, it's a fat talking head to my shoulder, and you don't see much of a background. So when you're vlogging, as an example, it's probably not the nicest view because you're not really showing what's behind you. Okay. So now you guys can see the view is much wider. It's much more usable because now you can kind of see more of my background. Just in case you guys are curious how it works, the telescopes is like a spring mechanism in here. The zoom lens is going to push the inner lens in and out like this. It's not a very tight fit, so you don't have to worry about damaging your lens. When you mount it on, I recommend you turning the camera off first. Red to red, mount it. Now I'll show you guys how it works. So when you turn it on, the lens will push this out. All right, the other thing is that it has a macro mode. So it's essentially just a macro lens, and this is not new. A lot of the other lens adapter has it as well, but I'm going to show you guys what it looks like in macro mode. Okay, and it is summertime coming up, and if you're feeling ultra adventurous and you can't do without your Sony ZV-1, then I recommend an underwater shooting case. So this is a Sea Frog underwater housing, and I also have the dome port up front as well. And I had about 3 dives with this so far at around 60 feet or so in Monterey Bay, and so far so good. I have not had a single leak. So in the exterior, you pretty much have all these like crazy contraptions, but all it really does is to allow you to still use pretty much every single button on this camera inside the housing. So let's go and pop the camera in. I'll show you what it looks like. Ooh. So it just sits inside the housing like this, and you line up all the buttons. If you want to take a closer look here, you can see that the shutter button presses the shutter button, C1 presses the C1. So everything works perfectly in this housing, and this housing is built specifically for the Sony ZV-1 Mark 1 only. Okay, it will not work with the Sony ZV-1 Mark 2. This housing is like 300 bucks, and so you are putting in a big commitment whenever you're buying something like this. Check this out. Look at all the crazy gear. So this allows you to change a lot of the settings on outside. It's like gear galore. Take a look at this, and then you can see that these will still work. Like the scroll wheel is going to work, but this housing allows you to shoot underwater, and I can show you some quick video and photos of what it looks like. But overall, this is an overkill, and if you're really into photography and you love your ZV-1, this is one of the most affordable, good underwater housing that you can invest in using with your Sony ZV-1. Alright, so with that, I think I've gone over every single ZV-1 accessories that I can think of. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and find it helpful. If you do, please consider subscribing. This is one of my favorite cameras, and I still use this 5 years later. But if you are in the market for one, I recommend you looking at Facebook Marketplace or somewhere that allows you to buy it used, because this is a very solid camera. Appreciate your time. Subscribe. See you soon. Bye.